In this episode of Another Zelda podcast, David visits Shane so that they can talk about some of their favorite Cyclops in the Zelda franchise. Hello and welcome to Another Zelda podcast. I am David Geisler, your host, and today I'm joined with guest host Shane Kelley. Shane, how are you?
I am well. It has been a while.
It's been far too long. I just jumped right into it.
Yes. What, 2 years almost?
I haven't.
March 2020.
Yeah. So we were, actually, we're in your house here in northern Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Mid northern Wisconsin, and the last time I was here, I think, was almost 2 years ago, and it was for the non-canonical appearances episode, wasn't it?
Yep.
I will tell you though, I had a bit of a road trip this morning. I drove from Chicago all the way up here, and it's been about 4 hours. It wasn't too bad, but I listened to a bunch of our old episodes on the drive up just to get back in the zone.
Yes.
And one of the first ones I listened to, I kind of listened to them in order, and the first one I pulled up was favorite ways to regain hearts from season 2.
Man, I love that one. I like the location. We were above that coffee shop.
It was a good listen.
Yeah.
It was a good listen. Yeah. So that was one where I drove up. We had not met each other in person yet for that episode.
That was also, I think that was also in March or April, somewhere around that time.
It was cold out.
Yeah.
And a little rainy, if I remember.
Yes, it rained, and I think, yeah, I walked from the parking garage to the cafe, waited for you there, and then we went to John's after, and that's when
that was very cool.
It was raining.
Yeah, we ran over. That was I've talked about that a little bit in the past, but so we recorded favorite ways to regain hearts.
Yep.
And then it just worked out that I had an appointment with John Klein at the time of Milwaukee MKE Production Rental, or Milwaukee Production Rental. I'm not sure which way to pronounce it. And because his logo is an MKE.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that's the trademark or if it's just an abbreviation for Milwaukee Production Rental. Anyways, I had an appointment with him for us to do a test build of the booth that AZP was going to bring to Midwest Gaming Classic.
Yes.
That's what it was. And we finished our recording, and the timing kind of worked out. And I remember just kind of saying, "Hey, do you need to rush back to Manitowoc, or you want to come walk 3 blocks over in this third ward district, and we can work on the booth a little?" And you said yes.
Yeah,
it was a blast.
It was fun.
John had no idea you were coming.
Yeah.
I was like, "Hi, John.
Surprise.
This is Shane," and he was cool. He was like, "Let's do it." And we built a booth, and it was a lot of fun. So that was a blast. And then the last time I saw you was about 2 years ago here in the house. Today we're recording in your, I think, like a rec room or a family room.
Yeah.
Last time we were wedged into your office.
Yes.
Because it was hard to resist. The first time I was here 2 years ago, you have so many cool things in your office that I was like, no, we got to shoot in here. But today we decided to stretch our legs a little bit. Almost literally, we're like literally in armchairs to record this episode.
It's a perfect setting. Armchairs amongst Toys R Us here. You got all my kids' toys surrounding us, watching us.
I would deduce that this is where your daughter plays most of the time. And things are very organized. Honestly, I remember our playroom when I was a kid, and things were never this organized. You got shelves for everything in here.
I'm trying to organize it a bit more, just because you add in all the Christmas toys. We're trying to find new ways to improvise. As you can see, Sven over there's got all of his clothes hanging on his rack.
Sven is multitasking. Yes. Not only is he a toy, his antlers are also holding other toys right now.
It's functional. Right.
Boy, that's funny. So anyway, this is new for me. Usually I'm sitting at a kitchen table or on some kind of director's chair or something. And today I gotta lean back and channel my inner zen here, because I'm
relaxing my back. It feels nice. It's warm in here.
This feels good. Shane, this feels good.
The masseuses are coming later,
What'd you say? The masseuses? All right. Well, let's get to it. Today, I want to do listener feedback, but first, why don't you tell everybody what we're of course they've read the title, but why don't you tell everybody what we're talking about?
We're talking about pretty much Cyclopses today. Yeah.
I never thought that would be said in the top of an AZP episode.
Yeah. I thought it'd be cool to look at some of the enemies in the Zelda universe that have single eye. So we both picked 5
Yeah, 5-ish. I think this is a favorites episode, so we can just kind of talk about it. We will probably have some that repeat.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure we'll have some duplicates. Let me ask you this real quick. I'm pulling up the listener feedback, but for you, as I was researching, it's funny because when you said, "Oh, what about?" I think we were texting about an episode topic, and I think you basically said like, "How about favorite Cyclopses or something?" Is it Cyclops or is it Cyclopses? Cyclops? Is it maybe it's just Cyclops?
Just Cyclops. I think. These are Cyclops. Yeah,
I think that's what it is. I'll have to check. But anyways, you texted me that, and at first I was like, oh yeah, there's like millions of them. All my favorite bosses are Cyclops. But then when I started doing my research, I was like, well, wait a second, what is a Cyclops? What is know? So I have a couple honorable mentions here that have a single eye, but I'm not sure if they're Cyclops. Okay. But for you, what was that definition?
Well, if they can't wear normal glasses, they're either a Cyclops or they're not, or they're Blinky the fish from Simpsons. I just look for the classic. They got one eye, and they probably are a boss or floating head of some sort, or shoot beams out of their eyes. So yeah, that's kind of what I went with.
I'm into it. Let's do a little bit of listener feedback.
Okay,
and then we'll get into our favorite Cyclops. I really want to say Cyclopses or Cyclops. I don't think any of that's accurate. Here we go.
Cyclopters.
Here's a review over on iTunes, or rather Apple Podcasts, I should say. This was back at the end of December, so a few months ago.
Okay.
Oh, I think I know who this is.
Okay.
I'll read it first and then I'll explain, but I'll let you kind of reply to it first. So just a nice 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts called Fun Podcast by DLO7865. It says here, I feel like a sage that's been awakened. I stopped playing Zelda after Ocarina of Time because I didn't have any new consoles as a kid. This podcast reminded me how great this franchise is, and I can't stop playing. I've relocated Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker. I'm working to grow my collection and eventually experience the full catalog. It all started when I found this podcast. Thank you, AZP team.
Wow, that's amazing. I want to say I love everyone's comments. It's so refreshing to read these, just either hearing them on the podcast or actually going and once in a while look at the Apple one and see what people wrote. They're uplifting, and it's very nice to hear what you like and all about Zelda basically.
It really is. It is special, and I don't want to get too much behind the curtain here, but in the beginning, in the early days, Kate and I seriously considered not doing listener feedback first. Mm-hmm. We thought about like putting it at the end of an episode, which is a little bit more typical. But we made the choice to put it in the front because we feel like it kind of is it's like a nice little, not appetite, like appetizer to conversation.
I was going to say with them being positive, it's good to start out a positive note. You hear what your listeners have to say, and they kind of gets the ball rolling as you're going through the podcast.
I agree. And there are times like even when we start talking about our main topic, we might even refer back to or some of the comments we read might even inform. Yeah. Occasionally I try to theme the comments towards what we might be talking about. Mm-hmm. For example, if I know that it's like a season premiere episode, maybe if someone said something about liking a different premiere, I might try to put that in there. But anyway, I think that this is a David Lopez who lives over in California.
Okay.
He and I have been in touch recently. He's running a podcast for a news company over in California, and I just forgot what the newspaper is. The Acorn, I think it's called the Acorn. But anyway, it's his first podcast, and
exciting.
Like it's like basically he works, I think, as a designer at the company, and they wanted to try to start a podcast as media companies would and do, news companies would and do. And he started up this show. I think technically maybe it got greenlit before he got involved, but he's taking on the technical aspects of the show. So he wanted to meet, and we had a meeting real quick. We had a Zoom meeting about a week ago as of this recording. And he just had a bunch of questions, and I talked a little bit, and I had questions for him about what kind of equipment they were using. And I don't have the podcast up in front of me right now, but I might find it for later. I went and listened to the show, and I think he's like technically just using GarageBand right now.
Nice.
Sounds phenomenal.
Wow.
It sounds so professional and so good. They're doing on location interviews with people to follow up on the stories that they're recording. he joked with me that the recording studio right now is just a conference room in the office that like some people don't use, so they can set up some microphones in there.
Yeah,
he's doing a great job. The story here, because the story that he shared with me in person was that he played Ocarina of Time, but then as it can be with some people, you just don't get a certain franchise. The Zelda games, there's a lot of them, but they also do only come out every 5 or 6 years sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, if you think about it, I do think that's why for some people, certain, like, the trope of your first Zelda game is your favorite. I think the reason that happens so often is because there's so much distance in between Zelda games that you could be in high school and play a Zelda game. By the time the next one comes out, you're in college.
True.
And you're in a different place in your life. You know what I mean?
I was going to say, well, again, my first game was Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, I was 5. Definitely did not care for it. But as of last night, I finally beat it. And so
you mentioned this while we were setting up.
Yeah. So I want to say it still is it's a hard game. But it is now being older and also having a game design degree, I can appreciate how it was set up.
Nice.
And how hard it must have been with people who didn't have the save states and walkthroughs, because man, without that, I probably still wouldn't have beaten it. It is hard, especially on the first time through. So,
yes.
If you want a challenge, go play it, and it will take you a little bit.
I think you played it on the Switch Online.
Yes,
experience.
I did. Yes,
yeah, which has technically rewind if you need it, and save states, of course.
Yep, which you will use.
Yeah.
Until you get that good where you don't need it, but that'll be a while, I think, if you've never played it.
Zelda 2 has a strange. I have not gotten much past the second palace.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very hard game for me. But it does have a difficulty ramp up where it doesn't actually curve much, meaning the beginning of the game actually is hard. A little bit like Breath of the Wild, actually is hard in the beginning, and then slowly you get things that make your character stronger, which seems like such a normal video game thing.
Yeah.
But the thing, in my opinion, what happens is the world of Zelda 2 doesn't really scale with you as so many games, like role-playing games do. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But anyway, to go back to Dave Lopez here for a second, who I suspect this is, just the DL and the story, he was telling me in our meeting that because of the show, he found a GameCube.
Oh, yep.
And bought a used GameCube, and then he got Wind Waker, and then he was able at a used video game store somehow came across the Ocarina of Time GameCube disc that had the Master Quest on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also a very hard game, but
the Master Quest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have that disc. Before we started making this show, I did play the Master Quest, but I did not get far. It would be fun to return to it now with all this new information.
I did beat it, and I think the hardest part was getting the Megaton hammer. I think it is.
Oh.
In the Master Quest, the stairs is literally very narrow, and you have to roll up the stairs.
No.
To get to the top before the timer is up, and it covers up the chest.
Yes,
and
I know
it's
you're
very
talking about.
hard.
So that's the part in the fire temple.
Fire temple, yeah.
Where there's basically a wave of fire, like almost like a hand of a clock spinning around a room.
Yep.
And in the normal game, you can kind of jump up and down and try to beat some baddies, or if you feel skilled enough, you can take the teeny tiny little staircase.
Yes.
But you're telling me that even just taking this teeny tiny staircase isn't good enough.
You have to roll up the stairs perfectly to get the chest open to get the Megaton to hammer, because then I think it's fire goes up around the chest again or something.
Right, that's what it is. Yeah, there's a timer.
Yeah.
My. So good luck to David here. I think he and I are going to stay in touch a little bit. This is an open call, David. If you're ever inclined to make a different show, and you might want to do it through 6.5, I think that could be a lot of fun. But he's killing it with this podcast. I think it's awesome. And you know what? I'm actually going to burn a few seconds here because I subscribe to the show, and I'm going to pull it up in my podcast app and see if I can. I'm scrolling through my podcast that I listen to. Branching Out. That's the show.
Branching Out. That's okay. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. I mean, it's honestly, it's just a podcast that supports the articles that are written for this newspaper in California.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of KCRW shows that I listen to where they're just doing episodes that support articles that they write for the Hollywood Reporter or whatever.
And with him mentioning the Sage, I thought it'd be kind of cool if we, as a Zelda team, got together and had a Sage's round table.
What?
And we we talk about something.
I'm into this, but what are you talking about?
I don't know. You mentioned in the beginning something about Sage. And I thought it would be cool if we just had like a Sage's round table, have some kind of either be a live episode or an episode where we get together and we bring up some topic that we could all talk about or discuss.
I see where you're going with this. Yeah, I like
or reflect on the season that we just had, or
as you know, I really like the format of this show. I've said it 100 times to basically usually just be two people.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, doing like a roundtable episode is nice. I think we have to do at least one a season minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And we managed to pull one off for the world building episode back in the end of season 4.
That was a phenomenal one. Please check that out. I like that one.
It was a fun one. Yeah, it was the first time we ever met the Coons in person.
Yep.
They're cool folks.
Seemed like it.
Yeah. And then the one before that was actually technically it was an episode at a convention, video game. Video game.
There was Video Game Summit. You had the quiz.
We had the quiz one too. Yep. Yeah. So anyway, now that we're all starting to kind of get to know each other even better, I think I might be a little bit more aggressive in inviting groups of people to Chicago or whatnot to do more of these. So you're saying with stages, do we have to have 6 then? I think we got.
Well, there's 7.
That's cool.
I think there's 7, isn't there? If you
count
Raru. Yeah, I think there's.
No, he's definitely standing on one of those medallions in Ocarina. There's 6 medallions because there's a sage per temple, and then maybe there is one more.
Well, maybe we'll have to figure out that format.
Oh my goodness! All right, here's another one, real quick. I guess we'll move it along here a little bit more. Over on Apple Podcasts as well. K Goodwin 83 says, amazing podcast. I absolutely love this podcast. I'm always excited to see what the topic is going to be. Lots of honest opinions. Everyone involved in this podcast clearly enjoys talking about Zelda, and they all make such good connections to their own lives and the games. Such a joy to listen to. Thanks for everything. Well, thank you, K Goodwin 83.
Yeah, and you could see it with one eye with this Cyclops episode.
Okay, I'm going to do, for the sake of actually keeping things moving here, I'm going to, I think, just do one more.
All right.
Okay, maybe 2 more, but this is funny. This is over on YouTube. This is our first episode ever, Season 1, Episode 1, 3 favorite Zelda games. Jacob Roebuck commented on the episode. Hello. Please, please, please read my comment. I love you guys, and I'm trying to complete Master Mode. When I saw the Lionel, absolutely no periods here. So I think Jacob was very excited, and I'm excited to be reading Jacob's comment. I love you guys, and I'm trying to complete Master Mode. When I saw that Lionel, I was like, yes! I shot him with a Boko bow and died. Also, I listen at home when I'm going to sleep and love it. You all are so calm. It is great. I love it.
Well, you seem very calm too, Jason. I love it.
Jacob, thanks for the message. And that Lionel definitely is a surprise in the beginning of Master Mode.
Man. And it's weird because, that's in the first Zelda game. So it's kind of a cool call back to see the original and then see him in Breath of the Wild.
I agree. We might have a couple callbacks in our Cyclops today, I think.
I think so too.
So I'm going to read one more quick one and we're going to get into our topic. Right. Over here on, I think this is YouTube as well. For the Outfits and Armor episodes, Season 1, Episode 21. Robert E. Speedwagon said, I've got 2 here, actually. Jeremy Vasquez said, the DLC Royal Guard set makes me feel fancy. Fair enough.
All right.
I actually do like the aesthetics. I don't often wear that outfit, but it does look cool.
Yeah.
And then Robert E. Speedwagon said, I love putting on the Hylian armor set, but pairing it with the hood, it looks so good together. You guys should try it. Keep up the great work. So the hood is kind of epic.
I do like that.
I use the hood a lot. I got to be honest.
I think the last time I played, I just wore the Tingle outfit all around.
Oh yeah.
I just took some screenshots.
I'm in my 3rd playthrough, but 2nd time in Master Mode, and I've scanned enough of my amiibos to get a couple actual proper Link costumes. You can't really level them up, so I don't have a lot of protection or armor. But I am having a lot of fun. Mostly I'm Skyward Sword Link right now, and I think I was able to kind of scan the Twilight Princess ones enough to get all of Twilight Princess.
Do you have the champions where you can scan them and get each?
I do have the
Beast,
champions.
Divine Beast.
I do. I think I've gotten the lizard and the elephant, but the other ones, it's funny with Amiibo. I kind of phase in and out. Sometimes there's days where I scan every single Amiibo I got.
Yeah.
And I just go for it. And then I don't scan an Amiibo for like 9 months. But I do enjoy my wolf Amiibo quite a bit. That's one that I kind of actively keep around to throw Wolf Link into Breath of the Wild.
That's always fun, yes.
I found out on the internet the other day that allegedly you can power up your Wolf Amiibo by playing that new Trials, so in Twilight Princess HD,
yes,
which is what the Wolf Amiibo came out with for Wii U, there's like a new kind of like enemy rush dungeon thing. It's not really a dungeon, but it's really just room to room to room, and you're fighting bad guys. Yep. A little bit like Trial of the Sword.
Okay.
A little bit like Trial of the Sword. And apparently you can level up your wolf, and I think the Amiibo gets data written to it.
Yes.
Because then if you scan that Amiibo in Breath of the Wild, your Wolf Link will literally have more hearts. So you can cross-game affect each other that way. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think there was another Amiibo that did that too. I can't remember.
I haven't done it with my Wolf Amiibo, but now I want to bring him into that trial of whatever it is in Twilight Princess HD.
I'm gonna have to look it up. I don't know if I showed you, but I got an unofficial Amiibook that I backed on Kickstarter. It's got every Amiibo in it.
That's cool.
It's got information about it. I'll have to check it out. Maybe it'll say what the wolf has or something.
If I see a Zelda Amiibo, I do kind of for the show. I do usually still pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a few others that sometimes I can't resist, but mostly if it's a Zelda one, that's cool, and I'll take pictures of it for Instagram or something like that.
Okay.
I did get the Skyward Sword bird, even though it was a little controversial. I know people were starting to get a little tired of like how these Amiibos are working.
It looked awesome, and I ended up ordering it from Amazon Germany.
Oh yeah,
I couldn't get it here at first. So.
Well, you know what it was for me is I was literally like at a Target, just running errands, coming back from school one day, and it was sitting there like and so this is kind of my rule sometimes with stuff like that, where I kind of want something, but I did this with the Skyward Sword Joy-Cons too.
I did the same with my
Skyward Sword Joy-Cons. I didn't like order them. I didn't look, seek it out, but I kind of was like, if the universe presents them to me, if I'm at a store and I see them, I'll take that as a little sign and I'll go for it.
You know, it's funny is you were talking about the Twilight Princess manga.
Yeah.
So I was at Meyer and they had volume 4.
Volume 4.
So I picked up volume 4 and I'm like, I got volume 4. So you know what that means? I got to go and find the other ones.
1, 2, and 3.
So in October when I went down to, was it Lake Geneva with my wife for our 10th anniversary?
Nice.
I was at Target and I found 2, 3, 6, 7, and 9.
All of those were in a single brick and mortar Target?
Yep, I got all 5 of those. And then
just blew my mind.
I waited for Christmas, and I was hoping maybe I'd get them, but I didn't. And so I ordered 1, 5, and 8. 5 and 8 came like 2 days later, and then 1 just came yesterday. So now I have all 9 of them.
Have you been reading it?
I did. Nope, I didn't read any. I waited. So
I'm on 4 right now, and I'm loving it. Okay. They're a good read. They definitely fill out the story a little bit.
Right now I'm reading Oracle of Seasons, I think.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know there were Oracle mangas. Now I want those.
I think I've got the dual seasons and ages in one book, and then I've got Minish Cap, Link to the Past, and Ocarina of Time.
Before I leave today, I'd like to see those.
Sure.
Let's get to our Cyclops.
All right.
Long intro. We're catching up here a little bit. Oh, that's fun hanging out with you, Shane. I haven't seen you in 2 years. I appreciate it. Let's see. So why don't? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on my wrong show notes. Why don't you go first, and I'll pull up my show notes for this episode.
Okay. So for the first one, I have the Landmola, of course.
Oh, I don't know what
the Landmola is. That gigantic worm creature, mainly in the desert.
In Twilight Princess?
No, he's in. I wrote it down. He's in The Legend of Zelda. Appears in the final dungeon and comes in blue and red variants. He's in A Link to the Past, and he's the. There's 3 of them that you fight in the desert temple and the second temple.
Oh wow!
So those are Landmolas. They're single eye and.
Oh, okay.
And they're also in Link's Awakening. So in the Yarna Desert, and they guard the Angler Key. So
are they kind of humanoid, like 2 arms, 2 legs looking? Because there's definitely some Cyclops now. I'm thinking about it in Link's Awakening that are.
Well, Link's Awakening are those ones that throw bombs. Or those are Hinox, I think.
I mean, there's the actual Cyclops in Link's Awakening. That's one that I had here, but okay, interesting.
Yeah. I I don't know. It was kind of the first one I remembered when I played, because I played Link's Awakening, not Link's Awakening, Link to the Past, as my second Zelda game, and I remember fighting that boss, and I had to look it up, and then I, backtracked. It was in the first one, and it was in Link's Awakening. So,
wow, I play Link's Awakening so much that I'm kind of struck right now that I can't think of this character.
Yeah, it says it's a mini boss in the Yarna Desert that guards the Angular Key. So,
I think I know what that is, but okay, yeah, fair enough. There's also the slime ball in Link's Awakening. Yes. It's kind of a Cyclops.
Yep.
That was one that I had here. Did you have that one at all?
I do not have that one.
Slime Eye.
That's
like its actual name. Here, I'm just going to my note for Slime Eye. Slime Eye, I was kind of like wasn't so sure about Slime Eye because he does break apart, and then technically, I guess it's one eye per module. Yeah,
per molecule.
Yeah, right. But Slime Eye Slime Eye was one I wasn't expecting to talk about Slime Eye first, but he was kind of one of those where I was like, is this a Cyclops?
I would assume so.
Sure, yeah. Let's see. Slime Eye
sounds like a disease. Slime Eye.
Oh, you got a case of the Slime Eye. Yeah, Slime Eye was fun. That was one of the first times in a Zelda game where you did have to do the slicing. I call it the asteroids effect. The game asteroids. You shoot it up. Divide it up until it gets into smaller pieces. Definitely a lot of that in Skyward Sword right now with the slimes, but those aren't Cyclops. Slime Eye, I think it's just hitting the sword. I think you're just using your sword with Slime Eye, just chopping them up smaller and smaller and smaller. That's kind of all I have on Slime Eye. I didn't expect to talk about Slime Eye.
Which game was that in?
Link's Awakening. I can show you a little graphic.
Oh.
There's Link's Awakening on DX, and then you might remember.
Yes, I
this
do remember
guy
that.
from the remake.
Oh yes, okay.
Yeah. He's in he's a boss in one of the dungeons in the Key Cavern. It's a simple one, but anyway, let's move over to kind of a classic.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Hinox.
All right.
Let's go there.
I do have that.
Hinox. How do you pronounce it? I say Hinox.
I see Hinox.
Hinox?
I don't.
Yeah, that's probably right.
No clue. So we could do a little vote on another Zelda podcast, Twitter or something. See what people say. Yeah, I think the first time I remember seeing him is in Link to the Past.
Yep.
So
the Hinox
throwing bombs
are all over the place.
If I do remember right, it has like a little thing on top of his head. It's supposed to be a tuft of hair or something.
Like a little top knot or something.
What I thought it was almost like a fuse type thing looking for the top of the head.
Yeah, the Hinox, you don't really see them until you go to the Dark World, I think.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, they're in the Dark World.
And then all of a sudden they're all over the place. They'll mess you up. I avoid them very much. So they're basically human. They appear in a bunch of different games.
Yeah.
Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, Four Swords Adventures, Phantom Hourglass, A Link Between Worlds, which I've definitely experienced them, Triforce Heroes, which I haven't experienced yet, and then Breath of the Wild, but I want to save the Breath of the Wild Hinox for a little bit later in the conversation.
Okay, that sounds good, because that's mainly what I got besides the...
Well, let's go there, but let's talk about how the Hinox in Breath of the Wild, aesthetically, in my opinion, looks a lot different than all the other Hinox in the other games.
Yeah. You see them in the trailer the first time you actually play the game. They're menacing looking. Once you get the hang of it, it's not so bad. But it definitely is an eye opener, as I want to say. When you fight them, how big they are.
Yeah.
They're massive. I don't know how you felt when you first played it, but
I stayed away from them for a long time.
Okay.
In the early days of my first playthrough of Breath of the Wild, I was like, it's very clear. The thing about Zelda is whenever you see, actually, I think I want to talk about this for a second. Cyclops in Zelda games, as it is, I think sometimes, so like everybody jokes, like if a Zelda baddie has an eyeball, go for the eyeball.
Yep.
And most of the time in boss battles, you're usually doing a series of events to try to expose essentially the eyeball of the character. And then once you do that, you can go use your sword on that.
Yep.
And I think that is kind of like a pattern with a lot of the baddies. And so when you see something like the Hinox, come at you in Breath of the Wild, not as a boss. You're like, well, massive red eye. I'm going to shoot the red eye. I mean, even I just realized even the malice is really just like shoot the eye, attack the eye to make the malice go away. So with the Hinox, I was kind of like, I get it. I get you. I know what I need to do. I'm running the other way.
Yeah. And I think we're trained, especially from the NES, Super NES era, that red and yellow are like indicators that you're supposed to hit those spots.
That's a really good point. Every single eye, like what happened if a character had a blue eye? I don't know if I'd be as inclined.
Exactly. And I remember, you fighting different bosses in games and they would start to flash red and yellow. And you're like, okay, they're getting close to dying. You gotta keep hitting them, and then eventually they'll explode. So
they would kind of. I guess the red, the blinking is the yellow. The red is obviously showing like a little bit of damage.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a point where I did, through the internet. I didn't really do like game guides for Breath of the Wild, but there was just so much out there on YouTube that I eventually, fairly early on, absorbed the fact that you could like go in their hand and they would put you on top of their belly in Breath of the Wild. So I started doing that a lot. Then I got a little bit more into the Hinox.
And I guess, did you have like a favorite one that you fought? Because there's two like distinct ones I remember. The one at Onset Island where he's sleeping. And you gotta get that.
Are you talking about Eventide Island?
Or, sorry, Eventide.
I always say that
I always
too.
Onset.
No, I do it too. I have like on this show, I have said Outset Island for that island, and it's Eventide.
Yeah, Eventide. Don't throw any Deku nuts at me, people. But it's Eventide, and that one, I love that portion of the game. And I remember that thing sleeping, and you could roll rocks down to wake him up and scare him, or you could fly from the top of that hill down into his stomach, and you could pick it off without waking him up.
Oh wow!
So there's many different ways to go about doing it. And then the other one that I really remember is the one where it's all dark in that forest. And you could just see the eye, and that is Resident Evil scary to me. Trying to navigate through there, and trying to get. I think there was a shrine in there, if I remember right.
Yes, there's definitely at least one in that super dark area. And sometimes you don't even know that he's there or it's there, the Hinox. And you might hear a grumble or something because he is sleeping.
Yep.
Maybe you see the little bubbles coming out. I can't remember.
I think there was like one of those sleep bubbles or something that you could just see the glare off if you lit the torches.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
a good one. That's a good fight.
Yeah.
For me, I was like the darkness was super scary and I was just starting to get used to things. And then I kind of like turned a corner around some rubble and I was like, okay, what's this big piece of rubble? That's not rubble. That's an animal. That's a creature. That's a Hinox. So I usually like stayed away from the Hinox. These days I've gotten a little bit more proficient with the arrows that I'm not as scared about. You just kind of shoot the eye. For me, I think my favorite Hinox battle is it technically a stall Hinox? It's
called a Stallnox.
Stallnox.
Which, is pretty much the skeleton creature combined with the Hinox name. So
the nighttime version, the dead version of the Hinox, and it's for the Hylian shield battle under the castle.
Yep,
that's a blast. That's a good one. That was the first time I did that. I don't know what it is about my play style, but I wasn't very good at battling the Hinox. My first couple playthroughs. And I remember getting to the shield, and then this basically like Hinox plus. Or Hinox minus because he has less on him. But this monster, this skeleton monster version of the Hinox gets up, reveals himself, and I was very scared to fight for the Hyrule Shield the first time I was down there.
Yeah, I do remember that too. That was a surprising. Like I didn't expect it. And I think there's other versions. There's a besides the normal red one, there's a blue version and a black version as well. And I think the black version is the hardest to eliminate. So
I think it goes blue, red, black, gold or something, blue, red, gold, black in general for a lot of the bad guys in Breath of the Wild. And there's gray and white and all that stuff too. It really gets up there. I'd like to circle back to the Eventide Island Hinox. For me, my first playthrough, that was a situation where I had started getting used to the Hinox a little bit. I started getting used to I could at least jump on, get on their belly, grab things, and just run away. But one of the things with Eventide Island, obviously, is with them taking all your stuff away, the battle with the Hinox, and you kind of spoke to this a little bit, it's not just out there in an empty field and you are depowered. You do have other tools to fight that Hinox, and that's kind of the fun of that battle. You can even, I think Kate spoke about how she just went up the hill and just rained bombs down on him for 10 minutes and finally got him.
I like that because it's almost like they turn Zelda into a survival game.
Yes.
So I enjoyed that. But then you also have to think you had to get those other 2 orbs. And if you died in any 3 of those areas, you had to start all over and either fight the Hynox again or fight. You go up to the top of the hill and get that one up on top of the mountain.
You're right. It does reset.
Yep. So yeah, it's strategic too how you go about doing it. If you get used to one and you're doing well, do that one first and then do the other 2 again, or try to do the 2 you aren't good at. Then you can try to beat the one that you're good at.
True. Yeah, that's strategy. I remember for me, my first battle with that Hynox, I was dealing with him. I eventually woke him up. I misstepped or something, and I did get up onto the hill, that plateau, and I was kind of fighting. I was attacking towards him. And he was slowly making his way up the ramp. And it was like a horror film. Like the bad guy was like,
yep.
All of a sudden I saw him crest the horizon and come up towards me. He's like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. And I started burning. I think I started burning some of the wood around him. And then he would like get burnt by that. And eventually I got the guy, but it was an epic battle that first time that I went for that Hynox. Yeah, that was a great one. The first time we see one is not in the Great Plateau. I don't think there's a Hynox in the Great Plateau.
And I think the first time I saw it is when you get off the plateau. I went to the left, meaning towards the desert area a little.
Got it.
And there's where that Coliseum is.
Oh yeah,
it's all broken. Right after there's a bridge and there's a Hynox on the island out on the bridge.
Yes,
that's the first time I saw one.
Oh wow. I think for me, I went towards Zora that first time I played it, as many do. Though I actually go to Zora a little bit later in the game these days. I usually go towards Rito now, which is kind of just because I want to get that extra jump.
Yeah,
and I think I do okay with that blight. That blight's not too. I mean, he's jumping around a lot. He moves around, whatever it is, flying blight, Ganon, whatever. I can't remember what the Rito
wind blight.
Yeah, wind blight. Thank you very much. But for the most part, as long as you kind of get better with your aiming, it's okay. But anyway, I don't want to get off topic too much.
We haven't done that the whole time. So.
All right, what's another favorite of yours? I think we might go to break after this one. And then
okay. Come back. My second one here is Tektite.
Yeah.
So these, I think besides the Stalfos, these are like second or third in line to be in most of the games. It's just like, I want to say it's a spider-like creature, but it only has 4 legs, 1 eye, jumps around, and it tries to slam into Link and try to take his life away. He's usually found in mountainous regions, and I think they're in 16 different Zelda games. So that's a big chunk of the game.
Yeah, they're a staple.
So yeah. And then they have different variants. They have the blue and the red, and I think the blue is a bit stronger, and those can go across the water. And the other one shoots fireballs, I think, the red one.
Yeah, the Tektites, help me remember. I mean, my like big moment of memory with a Tektite is going up Death Mountain the first time in Ocarina of Time when you just basically have the 3.
Yep.
But I remember that for me was like, ooh, I'm really on an adventure, because you don't have too many out in the world baddies before that moment. I'm realizing.
Yeah,
you have some baddies in the Deku tree, but you're not really like. I guess there's those big weird spinny things that try to attack you when you first.
Was it the P-hats?
Yeah.
I think besides those they're just the Stalfos at night if you stay out too late. So.
Mm-hmm. That was funny. The one jumps off the little edge to come at you. What's your way of usually going for a Tektite? Do you slingshot? Do you arrow? You just go up there and swing your sword?
If I have full power, like in some of the earlier Zeldas, I'd shoot my little sword. I don't even know what it's called. The little sword shadow thing that comes out.
Yeah. That
when you have full hearts.
Sure.
So yeah, I try to do that, and if I don't have that, if I can do arrows, or I wait to see where it's kind of landing, get a little close and do the swing or something with the sword. But
in Ocarina of Time, when you defeat them and they kind of fall apart into pieces, I remember thinking that was like super cool.
Yeah.
The 2D Tektites,
dinner served.
You kind of The 2D Tektites, you kind of can just attack from any direction. It's not, you don't have to. They're all, because of their sprite or their model, they're kind of always looking down or looking at the screen, you could say.
Yeah.
But let's see. Yeah, Link's Awakening, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask is the same model. Oracle of Seasons, I think, are the same models as Link's Awakening. They're in the Adventure of Link?
Yes.
Did you come across them? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, they're in Adventure Link, you've got random encounters with the black little shadows that pop up.
Yeah.
And if you hit one of them, and I believe if you're in the swamp area, they are jumping in the swamp area, and closer to the end, they are in a cave, and they're hard to I want to say kill and try to get past. So you've got to decide what you want to do. If you hardly have any hearts, just try to pass them.
I see. Is there any kind of strategy of attack?
They shoot, and they either shoot low or high, and then they'll jump. And so you either want to be down a step from where they're shooting and then see where they land and not be so close to the edge because their feet will actually hit you.
Whoa.
So as soon as they jump, then you can try to get through. But in one part, there's two of them, and you got to kind of balance what you're doing between the two. It's very hard.
I remember when I was a little kid and I was playing the first Legend of Zelda. I think you encounter them. If you can go up, right, or left in that first frame, that first screen. And I think if you go right, you see them almost immediately, if not the next screen. They're kind of in that mountain area. If you go down towards the ocean, the lower right. And every time I would pretend, when I was a kid, I would pretend I was brave enough to go that way, and I'd try to go that way, and they would just start jumping all over the place, and I'd die, I'd run the other way, and I'd go north. I could never. That was always like a really scary area for me with the Tektites. Oh my gosh! Well, I tell you what, I've got a few more that I'd like to talk about.
Okay.
But let's go to break real quick.
All right.
And we'll come back, and we have some bosses in store. We have some staples. And I also have some honorable mentions that technically have one eye, but I don't know if they're Cyclops. Sound good?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, cool. I'll see you in a few seconds, in a minute or two. Thanks,
right.
Welcome to our new podcast. Welcome to our new podcast.
This isn't working.
Agreed. I think we're going to have to do it turn by turn.
Well, now that you mention it, we are a brand new RPG video game podcast.
Our very existence hinges on turn-based gaming.
So join us on the Turn by Turn podcast, where we'll be talking about
Pokemon, Fire Emblem, Golden Sun, Shining Force, Mother, and so many more.
It's your turn to come and join us.
Hey, this is TC.
And this is Jim from the Studio Demands It podcast.
Where every episode we take a demand from a hypothetical studio,
which could be you,
and challenge ourselves to conceptualize, pitch, and craft a film based on the stipulations
or the demands
we are given. We talk about movies all the time. Particularly, we complain about the choices made in the films we've seen.
We're nerds like that.
And, of course, like any good nerd does, we automatically assume that we could do better.
Even with the demands and restrictions that clearly must have been put on by a production.
So head on over to studiodemandsit.com and listen to our previous library of episodes. Our library of previous episodes. Our precious library, Jim. Our library of precious episodes.
You're a pirate, Smeagol.
Okay, so head on over to studiodemandsit.com to listen to our library of episodes.
And submit your demand for a future episode, too.
So go do that.
Okay, bye.
Okay, end of ad.
Hi everybody, David here. I just wanted to take a second to tell you about Another Zelda Podcast's brand new merch store. Yes, we've opened up the store to celebrate the beginning of Season 5. In fact, I'd like to tell you about our Another Zelda Podcast logo t-shirt. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's our logo on a classic t-shirt, but yeah, it does look pretty neat, especially on the 20 different shirt colors that you can select. All of the staple colors like red and green and black are there, but there's also asphalt, military green, slate, royal heather. I'm not joking, that's one of the color selections. So if you're interested in displaying your Another Zelda Podcast fandom, head on over to our website, anotherzeldapodcast.com, and click on the merch tab in our main menu right up on the top of the screen there. All right, let's get back to the show. Shane, that was a heck of a break. We talked about a lot about Disney stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is? There's a lot of like collectibles and things in this room that we're in right now, and so there's a lot of conversation pieces in this room that we're in right now.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what happened. Did your daughter paint this watermelon thing behind me? Is that what's going on?
Yep.
There's a lot going on in this room, and for all the right reasons. I'm enjoying this. So let's see. What would you like to talk about next as far as the Cyclops go?
Well, I have. So it's kind of a combination. So I've got Beamos.
Yep.
So Beamos, of course, are stationary creatures that rotate. Got one eye. They see you. They shoot a laser at you. And they're in a lot of games. I think at least from what I saw, 11 games they're in.
I was introduced to them in Ocarina, but I later learned that they were in. I later found out when I played it that they were in A Link to the Past.
Yes, and that's where I first
I feel like that might be their first time. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it is. And so I kind of merged them together with the Guardians.
Really?
Because what my thought process is all of these are mechanical. I want to say security systems. For a dungeon.
I kind of can see that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I think I can get in it.
Yeah. So like the Guardians were meant for protection and maybe war, but they have so many different kinds. I think I have there's at least 9 types of Guardians.
Of Guardians?
Yeah. So
I feel like I can recall 3.
So I wrote down they have the Decayed Guardian. Okay. They have a Scout 1, a Scout 2, a Scout 3, and a Scout 4, which are different versions. Some have 2 arms, some have 3.
In Breath of the Wild.
In Breath of the Wild. Some of them were in the shrines. Some of them were.
Oh, you're right. There are like the little guys and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's different ones of those. Yeah, and then there's a Guardian Stalker, which is the walking one, the Guardian Skywatcher. Mm-hmm. And then there's a Guardian Turret at the castle.
Yes.
And then there is a Sentry, which is, I believe they come out of the Lizard when you're fighting in that. During that time, they come out of the back of the Lizard, and you have to defeat him or something like that.
The Lizard?
Yeah,
I think I know what you're talking about.
Beast. Yeah,
and there's a little bit of Guardian Tech and Ganon in that last battle as well. Oh, I guess all the Blights really kind of use like the whole like laser shot eye thing. Yeah, I guess there are a bunch of Guardians.
So I thought they pretty much represent a home security system of sorts.
So take a Beamos, put legs on it, let it walk around.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. How can we do this better?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and I would consider these Cyclops like they are. I think that the graphic, the representation is that this is some kind of eye that's looking and watching, and then well, actually in A Link to the Past, I think it's just a sprite, but I think it kind of is like an eyeball rotating around.
It just rotates on the top. And if you go look at some of the other games, there's way different versions in each game. The one I think I looked at Majora's Mask, and since I haven't played that, it looked like a one eye on top of like a body that had a mouth on it.
Yeah, they do look different. They did change it for that one. Most recently, I've experienced the Beamos. Is that what you said?
Beamos.
Yeah, Beamos. In Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
And actually, we're talking about that, I think, in the next episode. And I remember in the original Skyward Sword, the Beamos were excruciatingly frustrating.
They were. That was, I think, my for using the Wii remote. The worst part of playing Skyward Sword was trying to beat the
Beamos. I remember being almost impossible. I would try to like either. I remember being in dungeons and being like, "There's got to be another way I can get around these things."
I think it was in the desert one, the desert temple. That one frustrated me the most because of that. Just
so, but now, have you played Skyward Sword HD at all?
I have not played the new one.
All right. Well, I'm happy to say that they're bonkers easy in that game.
All right.
I know.
You convinced me. I'm going to buy it.
I'm going to buy it just for that. Well, what happens is, so the slashing is on the R stick, of course, we know.
Yeah.
Sword slashing. But what a lot of people don't talk about is that the sword stabbing, the sword poking move that you have to do to defeat the Beamos eye is just a click in on R3.
Oh.
So,
awesome.
So you walk up to them, you just go left, right, click. It's almost easier to hit their eyes now than it is to do the slash part.
Man,
They're nothing now.
I just remember just spending hours trying to beat the temple just because of those Beamos. And
I remember thinking Nintendo, you've gone too far with these Beamos in Skyward Sword.
Yeah, I'm glad I beat the game though, even though I lost the save data the first time. But
for Skyward Sword,
yeah. So I when I moved, I was on the ancient cistern, and then when I moved and I hooked it back up a month later, all my save data was gone. And
off your Wii, off my Wii.
Yep. So I had to replay it, and I waited probably about 4 months before I did because of being frustrated with certain things like the tier trials and
So, I found the tier trials to be much better in HD as well. I mean, I really got to save this for next week's episode, but I think that free camera helps a lot with the tier trials.
Okay.
They were not difficult this time.
Okay.
I know. I remember the tier trials would come up, and every time it happened, I'd be like, no, please, no, I don't want to do this, please, no. I got them all in the first try this time, and it wasn't because I was like super good at it. I think I was just able to look around, but anyway.
So you're saying I played the Master Quest version first, and now if I want to easier, I'm a dad type gamer, I want to relax, play this game type thing.
I think so, and a lot of people are playing Skyward Sword HD with the motion controls. I chose to play full Pro Controller only.
I think I'm going to do that.
There's a few times where it's like throwing a bomb, for example, is almost requires 3 to 4 inputs now to throw it. You push R to bring up your bomb, then you slant your stick up or down if it's going to be a roll or a toss. Then you push R again to throw it. Then you push R again to execute it, and it can get a little clunky.
Yeah.
Whereas in the other day, with the Wii version, you just kind of swing your arm and you throw it. So there are a few times where that R stick is worse, but there's 80% of the time where the R stick is so much better.
Did you play the harp in the Lumpy Pumpkin? Because that is another part in the game where I tried to play the harp.
I haven't yet.
There's a harp mini game in the Lumpy Pumpkin, and I spent a good 45 minutes to an hour trying to beat this, and I finally beat it on the Wii version, and it was so hard because the motion controls just wouldn't pick it up right.
Kate and I have not recorded next week's episode yet, and I'm going to go back in there and try to speak to it on the episode. I didn't know that was even a thing.
Maybe check it out, watch a video.
When you play the harp, which is like the ocarina of Skyward Sword, you just kind of swing your R stick left and right in time, and it's all fine. But anyway, interesting. Well, anyway, Beamos, and so what's your experience? Let's talk a little bit about the Guardians. When you're playing Breath of the Wild, what's your or do you have any standout experiences with Guardians?
I like to hoard my items. So like not using the what is the arrow? The Guardian arrow.
I never use it either.
I hardly use it. And I'm like, I'll use this later. And I think you've spoken to this in a past episode, but you save it and then expecting to use it, and then you never use it, and you've got all this inventory left. And that happens to me especially in RPGs, every single RPG, especially if there's a lot of useless things that you don't really need.
Right.
They just sit there.
And you'll get so skilled. You'll be like, no, I'll take this guy out with my regular arrows. I won't even use the lightning ones or the whatevers. And you kind of get good enough at the arrows that it is sometimes you have to remind yourself, there are times where you should use this. I suppose my rationale is maybe if I'm super low on hearts and I've got a couple Guardian arrows and I'll try with a few normal ones and he's coming at me and I've got to, make for broke or go for broke and then go with it. I think that would be my logic. But
there's a few areas I can remember. If you go straight north from the plateau, there's that second tower you have to scale, but it's in the middle of all the Guardians who are trying to shoot you as you're climbing.
Yeah.
And you got to avoid it or go around and kill every single one, which that's kind of impossible.
I think even the first time I played, I had to skip it and I don't return until Rivali's Gale. And then I jump up half the way.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Yeah.
And then I'll get on one platform and kind of hide and then jump up again. And that's the only way I think I've ever been able to pull it off.
Okay. I actually climbed up that before Rivali's
And you just
Gale.
Dodged and weaved?
Yeah. I went as fast as I could. Then I'd sit, like you said, at that platform and then I'd go again.
Because it's
hard.
The way they lay that out is you're in view of a Guardian, at least two almost all the time going up there. Yeah, the Guardians are Cyclops. I'm cool with that.
I was thinking the other place too that I remember them being is that where all of them are in the field they're all broken, and you go right before you go up the hill with
it's a Hatno or whatever.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
And they're all to the right there, and it's kind of like a peaceful graveyard of such, junkyard, I want to say.
Well, I love that area because with those Guardians, you've probably experienced active ones enough. You've certainly experienced a few just to get that one of those first 4 shrines on the plateau, on the Great Plateau. You're aware that even if they're laying there, they could still shoot at you. Mm-hmm. And I think there are like maybe 2 or 3 that are active, but for the most part, like none of them are.
Yeah, there's a handful, but.
And as you walk up, though, you're kind of thinking, I remember, at least for me, I was walking up, it was super creepy. I even kind of like went off the path and started weaving through them because I thought, oh, this is a trap. When will all of these wake up and get me? But they don't. They just are. And in the lore, that's where a big standpoint was. There was a big battle there.
Yep.
And that literal wall that you walk through, that you cross, is the wall that held them off to keep Hatno peaceful.
Yep.
Even though Hatno's up the way a little bit. That's the logic behind it. And I feel like that battle was referenced at least in Age of Calamity, but I'm not sure.
Yes, I do believe so.
Yeah, that's a cool part. That is definitely a cool part.
Speaking of that, have you tried the DLC for
Age?
Because you fight as a Guardian.
That's a really good point. No, you fight with the Guardian nunchucks, right? Basically, Guardian leg nunchucks. Yeah. No, I think I have the DLC. I don't know. I'm still only halfway through Age of Calamity.
Okay.
And so, I'm kind of, I don't know if it affects the rest of the play or not. You know
so I didn't get the DLC, but I have beaten the game. So, I am curious to see what your thoughts, or whoever has played it's thoughts are, playing, with the Guardian.
Playing with the Guardian. I see.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a time. It's Age of Calamity is difficult for me. I'll just say
it ramps up. It does get hard, and I do enjoy.
I started playing, and then I hit a flow for maybe the first half of the game. I got through the battle by the Master Sword. That was a blast.
Yeah.
I got past that quite a bit. I got into. I think I'm at the point. I think I have just crossed the line that most people talk about, like all the main spoilery stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've crossed that halfway point. Is where I'm at right now, and let's just put it this way. Zelda's in her like white dress.
Okay.
And there's 2 battles that I just can't beat.
There are a few that I had to keep playing, or I went and tried to play some of the other ones to get more levels.
I might have to do that.
But a lot of the time, like when you get a new character, then you have to play that specific character or pick 2 or 3 people to play it. So some of the characters I didn't care for at all.
I see. Interesting.
So it's hard to beat some of the levels when you have to use a certain character if you don't like it. So
this is me speaking just personally. This is not a critique on Age of Calamity, but every time I play Age of Calamity, it just makes me want to play Breath of the Wild.
Same.
Like I usually play a couple levels of Age, and I'm like, okay, I'm going back into Breath of the Wild. But I mean, that first, anyway, we're getting off topic, but that first level in Age of Calamity, when you see a constructed Hyrule without any Guardians or anything like that is very cool.
Yeah.
I actually play that. A lot of times I play that level and I don't even fight. I just walk around and look at stuff, and they're all freaking out. They're like, save the captain. I'm like, I'm looking at this cart that wasn't here. This apple cart wasn't here. It won't be here in 100 years. Let's talk about Gohma. Gohma.
Yeah, I got that on my list.
You have Gohma?
That is my last one besides my honorable mentions.
Ooh, cool. So, I think Gohma's like a staple.
Yeah.
I think Gohma was in many of the games. The original Legend of Zelda.
Yes.
Basically, it looks like I thought Gohma was just like a crab when I played it. I didn't even really make the connection that really it only had one eye.
Yeah.
In the original Legend of Zelda, but it does.
They call it a parasitic monstrosity of some sort.
Gohma is crab-like in Ocarina of Time. What's this TWW? Oh! Hey, I just learned something. Allegedly, that's Gohma in the Wind Waker. There's a Gohma in Wind Waker, the crab, that big crab pulley thing. This guy right here.
Yeah.
I didn't know that to be Gohma, but okay, I see it. We got the 2 big hands.
Yeah.
Cyclops. Ocarina of Time Gohma is the one I think about.
That's exactly why I wrote it down, because that fight is, for most people, even if you didn't beat the game, you probably played this level and you probably played that boss fight.
Yeah.
Now, what I found interesting is there's a Deku scrub outside where you fight her, and that Deku scrub calls her Queen Gohma. And it's not referenced anywhere else besides the Deku scrub saying Queen Gohma.
Oh, wow.
So I wrote Queen Gohma on mine.
Fair enough.
Just because it is mentioned, but it does not pop up as
it's not part of the
boss name. So.
Yeah. It's like ancient arachnid Gohma or something.
Yeah.
Is what it is. Yeah, that battle's great. That battle's great. There's like 2 or 3 different ways to defeat Gohma in Ocarina of Time. I remember that's what my recollection of that battle the first time I played Ocarina of Time was that you're really, so Gohma's not humongous in that game.
No.
But Gohma feels humongous.
Just because it's dark and the body matches the top and it's crawling on the ceiling.
Yeah, and then you've got this is the first time in the game where you have clear, like, directional lighting happening. Yep. And it's also a time in the game. Gohma's not particularly difficult, but it's a classic Zelda boss battle in that you have to assess the situation and try to come up with some strategies on how to defeat.
And then you avoid the little egg larvae creatures that hatch. And you got to keep them at bay while you're still watching Gohma walking on the ceiling there. So, it's a fun way to start.
A big red, yellow eye. I just remembered. I just realized big red, yellow eye again. Huh?
And it's a good, I was going to say Z targeting was a big factor for that as you play it the first time too.
Yeah, that's a really good observation. I wonder if they had Gohma go up on the ceiling on purpose because they're like, look, it's a 3D game. And
I kind of thought about that. This was, not when I first played it, but when I went to school for game design, you kind of look at things differently as you go through the classes. And this, since this is is my favorite game and my favorite Zelda game, playing it again, you kind of like, well, I see what they did here. And this exact thing crossed my mind. Did they do that on purpose? And I would say yes.
Yeah, because Gohma drops eggs when, I guess she is up there, Queen Gohma.
Yep.
But otherwise, there's not a lot of attacking going on. It's like, so if you're learning how to Z target still, if you're still learning how that works, if you're even learning like, a boss can be on the ceiling now because now we're in a 3D game and there is a ceiling.
Yep.
Because of the previous, it would be top down.
Yep.
They're kind of just teaching you to fight. In fact, they actually inform you have to look around and you look up to even trigger the fight.
Yes. And another thought is that one character is sitting on the roof in the village when you first learn Z targeting, and you look up at it, at him, I think it is, and that also crossed my mind. Okay, it's preparing me for this fight because you got to look around, and then as soon as you look, there.
I agree.
So
I agree. Gohma was the first couple times I at this point I played the Gohma battle maybe 20, 30 times.
Yes.
Every time you jump into Ocarina, you at least get that far.
Mm-hmm.
And but it was terrifying the first couple times.
Oh, I agree.
Gohma, as well as the next dungeon with they call him a dinosaur, but oh my gosh,
the Dongo.
The Dongo. Thank you. That one was really scary too. But when you go in now and you kind of know what you're doing, it's a little less scary. But so let's talk about Gohma in Wind Waker. I'm having a hard time remember Gohma.
I don't remember that much. Now showing me the design, I do remember it, and I think it wasn't it in lava? Came out of lava.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was in the lava, if I recall.
Yeah, it was the lava plant monster thing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Gohma in the original Legend of Zelda, it's just as simple as shooting the eyeball with your arrows. It's almost the first version of that. Gohma in the original Legend of Zelda, Crab Gohma walking back and forth. Maybe you can bomb. No, you bomb the Dodongo, but I think it's arrows.
It's arrows.
To the eyeball.
Yep, pretty sure. Well, did you have arrows? Was it the slingshot?
Well, you get the bow in the very first dungeon, and Gohma's not until like the second dungeon if you play in that order. I think maybe the Dodongo's second dungeon. Maybe Gohma's third or fourth. Actually, the crab.
Oh, and are you talking Wind Waker?
No, I'm sorry, I'm talking about the original Legend of Zelda.
Okay. Because I thought that was the first boss fight.
In the original Legend of Zelda, the first is that weird. It looks like a unicorn, but apparently it's a dragon.
Oh, Vodka? Is that what you're
Nah,
talking about?
in the original Legend of Zelda.
Oh, the original.
yeah,
Legend
original
of
Legend of
Sorry.
Zelda. Oh, you're thinking
The
Ocarina.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem, no problem. Yeah. Gohma is like in
Yes.
dungeon 3 or 4 or
Okay.
something.
Okay. Now I
It's just a
remember.
crab walking back and forth.
Yep.
And you have to shoot up, so to speak. You go down to the bottom of the screen and shoot
Yep.
up and hit the eye with the eyeballs.
Oh, okay. So many Zeldas.
I know. Gohma's in Link's Awakening as well, but I think it's basically the same concept. Let's see. What else do you have?
So I have
Oh, yeah?
3 honorable mentions.
I'm listening.
Okay, so Igor.
Yep. I've got Igor on here. Okay, let's talk about it.
Okay, so it's in the. I think it appears in Link to the Past first, and it's pretty much the stone golem statue looking thing that will open its eye and then move around.
Mm-hmm.
You can try to shoot it in the eye. I think you have to hit it like 2 or 3 times to defeat it, I believe. And then I also think that they appear in 5 different games. So Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, Majora's Mask, Four Swords Adventure, and Minish Cap.
Igors are everywhere.
So
They're almost a staple. It's almost like when you see one now, you go, okay, wait for the eye to open, then shoot it.
mm-hmm.
Definitely in Link's Awakening.
I think what I was going to say is it's kind of predecessor to the eyes in all of the temples that you shoot with the arrows to open different doors.
Yeah.
I kind of think that they moved away from those in the 3D ones and put those in there to open doors.
You know what? When I think of Igors, I can't think of a 3D experience, like a 3D gameplay. There's a 3D representation in like Link Between Worlds and stuff.
Majora's Mask is the only one that they said,
Majora's Mask?
but I've not played it, so I don't know.
All right, I just pulled Majora's Mask up.
Okay.
Interesting. That it looks like an Igor, but I don't really recall this character. Interesting. Yeah, Igor is the first time you really use an Igor is in one of the early temples in Link's Awakening, or in A Link to the Past. You start using that.
They have red ones and blue ones.
Yeah, the part I'm thinking of is when you attack a red one from the side, actually, and then the wall reveals itself. Remember, the wall opens up in Link to the Past? That's the part I'm thinking about right now that I remember. They were very scary at first.
Yeah.
When you're a kid and you first get to them, you're like, oh my gosh, they're coming at me.
Yep.
But not too bad. All right, Igor. Let's see. I had Vitreous on here.
Vitreous?
Yeah, Vitreous is a boss in A Link to the Past. And it's kind of an honorable mention. Vitreous is or isn't a Cyclops. It's more like a glob of eyes with one main eye.
Okay.
Vitreous is kind of somewhere like, it's one of these hive bosses. There's like 3 different kinds of bosses.
So I would think after you start breaking it apart, it has one eye.
Yes.
It becomes its own Cyclops.
It does, yeah. So it's kind of an honorable mention, Vitreous. And then my other honorable mention is, and it almost pains me to say this, I feel like let me just check my list. I feel like I have 1 or 2 more that I haven't talked about. Guardians, Gohma. I had Argus on here.
Okay.
Argus is in A Link to the Past, Link Between Worlds, and Triforce Heroes. A Link to the Past. Argus is one of the boss battles where it's Argus. Oh, Argus is that tough one.
Yeah.
In A Link to the Past, he floats around in the middle and shoots stuff around.
Yep, there's like, was it? I want to say energy or something that.
Argus gave me a hard time. I remember this now. But my other honorable mention is Majora's Mask 3D Goat. So you don't know who Goat is yet. Goat's a fun boss battle in Majora's Mask. It's this mechanical bull-looking creature.
Okay.
And kind of channels the I forget the name of the creature now, but the big skeleton in Twilight Princess. The dragon skeleton boss battle.
Oh,
Star-Lord, thank you so much.
That's my favorite boss battle.
It's one of my favorites too.
And my favorite weapon thing to use.
Yeah, the spinner. I love it. So the goat battle has a similar kind of action-packed, or you're on the move kind of feel to it. So I think you might like it when the time comes.
Okay.
But when they released it on the 3DS, one of the changes they made to Goat was that when you you do a few acts. There's like always phases with these boss battles in Zelda games, and you do your first 1 or 2 little acts to bring Goat down so that you can do your sword stuff. But they changed it, and a big red eye pops out of his back for you to like attack the red eye to make it super obvious where you got to go. And so I'm kind of saying this with a little bit of sass right now. Like he's Cyclops. He's not a single eye pops out of his back. Okay. It is literally just a big red yellow eye to make the boss battle a little easier, to make it a little more clear where to hit.
And it's exciting now that as of I think last night, Nintendo is releasing Majora's Mask on the online in February. So I should be able to play this
recording. Yeah. So I think so. What's kind of funny is if you play you have told me you intend to play Majora's Mask on the original code, not the Majora's Mask 3D, and I think that's a good thing. I think I would still recommend to anybody to actually play it on the original code first. There is some quality of life on 3D, but I think ultimately I kind of think I prefer the original, especially if you have a save state. But I've already talked about that in previous episodes. So that's it. What do you have? Anything else on there?
So I have just 2. Because I played Adventure of Link, there's 2 different types of eyes that I saw floating. And one's called the MOAS, MOAS. And it just flies by. It's red. And there's blue versions too, but they drop fire as you walk past, so you got to avoid the fire.
Okay.
And they just sweep across, going left to right, and then they'll disappear for a little bit, and they'll come back.
How do you defeat them? You just
if you can. I usually try to avoid them because they're pretty high up, but I don't think I've actually tried to defeat them. I just try to go to the next screen.
All I was getting at is this one of the classic like arrow to the eyeball situations?
It could be.
Could be. Probably not. It's probably not. If it's you experience,
I don't think there is any arrows in So you can just use your sword, I believe so. Or actually, you can shoot fire from your sword if you get the fire spell.
Whoa! Now I'm getting excited about Zelda too.
Yeah, which in our next podcast coming up here, it'll be part of that podcast.
Oh, the next time we get together, which I think is going to be episode 7. I think.
Yeah. So I'll talk a little bit more about that.
Interesting.
And then the other one is kind of interesting. It goes by the name of Giro Boku.
Okay.
Girobokku. It is a floating eye monster, and it has only a Japanese name. There is no English version name for this monster in the game. So it's just it's a bigger eye floating than the ones that drop the fire, and they move really slow. They kind of remind me of Boo from Mario Brothers.
Okay.
Where for some reason you'll look at them and they'll stop and then they'll go, and then at other times it seems random. But if they're opening your eyes, and you got your little sword powered up, you can charge it and shoot it in the eye, and I think 2 hits kills them. So, but they're really slow, and you don't think you're going to get hit by them, but all they do is go up and then go down, and they go real slow, and they usually come in pairs. So you gotta and what they have is they'll have 2 coming from one direction, and if you start going the other direction, they have 2 coming from the other direction. So they almost surround you, and you have to defeat at least 2 of them to get past them, or duck when one of them goes past. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. I think that I dive into Zelda 2 probably once a month, and I survive maybe through the first palace, honestly. And I'm usually out by then. But the thing that's been fun for me is I've been using the Zelda Game & Watch, because it kind of has a built-in save state if you just power on and off. I talked about this in season 4 a little bit, but that's really been my entry into Zelda 2 in a weird way, which I could probably do it on the Switch, I realize. And I remember Ryan Kuhn kind of made that point as well back in our world building episode. But because I can just pull Zelda 2 up, like I literally leave that Game & Watch on my desk when I'm working. And if a file is saving for a minute or two, pull it up, I turn it on, I play a few more screens, and then I turn it off.
Okay.
And it's not stressing me out. That's the only way that I've really been getting into Zelda 2 so far. But now I'm getting quite intrigued to give it a proper play.
And I'll probably talk about this in the other episode too, but there's something I missed at when I got towards the end. And if I I couldn't go any further.
Like an item?
Yeah. So I had to go get it in order to progress. And I actually had to walk from pretty much almost closer to the end all the way back to almost the beginning.
Whew.
And so that's a lot of hearts. And I don't think if
That's a lot of hearts. You're gauging time by hearts.
well, you get
And
attacked,
distance.
and you can rewind, but it's difficult, and I had to research what I was missing because I couldn't find what it was, and the lady that asked for this item, I got the name for it, so then I had to kind of figure out which one I was missing because there's multiple ones.
Oh my gosh.
But that was the only frustrating part, besides just relentlessly hard, that I experienced. But I had a good time playing it.
I am slowly getting the knack of the combat.
Yep.
Like the dodging and the when to read your enemy. I mean, that is actually cool.
Yeah.
It is cool once you learn, because in Zelda 2, combat is not just swing the sword.
Yeah, it's like one of the almost original like Dark Souls or Demon Souls type game. It's you got to learn the pattern, and that's how all those games work. And I think maybe they've been based off some of that from that game.
Well, when we have you back, it's going to be top 10 monumental moments, which is a topic I think that you pitched seasons ago. Honestly, we had it on our list for a long time. That'll be, I think it's episode 7, so it'll be a couple weeks from now, maybe a month and a half from now. Until then, Shane, where and how can people find you on the internet?
Of course, you can find me at Twitter at StillSayingShane. Please come say hi. I appreciate it. Also, the writing on our blogs here at Another Zelda Podcast, as well as I write for Boss Rush Network, where I have some pretty cool articles as well. So
yeah, absolutely. And we were on some of their episodes once in a while, I think, right?
Yeah, we've been on a few.
Yeah, that's cool. Sweet. People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Raptor Paint. I have to say, I kind of crossed a line in my social life. I almost just said, but my social media life, I guess, is the way to say that. I've been posting personal things on Instagram. Just stuff, nothing that I wouldn't normally post anyways.
Yeah.
Cat sleeping in my office, taking a hike. But I noticed the other day that I'm starting to get people liking the pictures and I don't know who they are. So I think I've kind of crossed a line where like people who I don't know are starting to follow my Instagram. Sure. And it's not just like my 10 friends. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of exciting. Yeah. So I feel like maybe some people have been kind of going over there. You're more than welcome to find me on Instagram at Raptor Paints. I tweet a little bit at Raptor Paint. But if you want to find information about the show, you can find Another Zelda Podcast on Instagram, Another Zelda Pod on Twitter. If you Google Another Zelda Podcast, you'll find our Facebook page, our YouTube page. We have a Discord channel, which actually, Shane, you're fairly active on. You jump in there quite a bit. Me and
Celeste pretty much are in there a lot. So
yeah, I really appreciate you guys staying in there and keeping it alive. It's a little bit beyond my capacity of because I'm doing all this production stuff too.
And I'm learning as I go too. And since I'm also with Boss Rush Network, they use it as a main form of communication. So I've brought that over a little to
kind of help Discord almost like their own Slack.
So yeah, we talk there, and we also have our meetings through it as well.
Because there's video through Discord. I'm being so old man right now. I see. I didn't know that part. That's cool. I don't know. For the past decade, every every company I've worked for like insists on Slack, but I think it's a similar concept.
Yes.
Anyways. You can go to our website, anotherzeldapodcast.com, where you can find articles that Shane Kelley himself has written on our blog section. I think the one that's on as of this recording, we've got one on the homepage right now, and it was your Kinstone, your concept of like what would Kinstones be like in a Breath of the Wild experience article.
Versus having the Korok seeds, trying to fuse Kinstones that you find and maybe that'll unlock something for you versus getting the seeds. So,
I was okay with the Kinstones in Minish Cap.
Yeah, I wasn't
offended by them. No. The first time I played, I didn't care about them. The second time when I played them for review for this show, I kind of got a kick out of them.
Yeah,
it was all right. Cool. Well, Shane, I think that's that, and I'll see you back here in a little while. Thanks so much for having me over.
Oh,
I am so chill. This has been a chill episode because we're sitting in these super comfy chairs.
Yeah,
I've never sat in a chair this comfortable before, and like there were times while we were recording where I was like, oh my gosh, well, I'm ready to just chat with Shane for 3 hours about everything in the world.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the feet bath out next and the bath salts. So,
and by the time we
complimentary
do episode
robes.
7, I'll be like, hey everybody, it's Zelda or something. Hey, what's on your mind, dude? Well, it really you've been a gracious host. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in a bit.
Absolutely.
All right. Until next time, Shane.
Okay, bye.